So you did it. You found the perfect house. You navigated the whole maze of getting your offer accepted. But now what? Now comes the final step, the closing. It can sound a little intimidating, right? But don't worry. We're going to break it all down and focus on the super important role your real estate attorney plays in all of this. I mean, it's the question every single home buyer asks. You see it in the movies, you hear people talk about it, but what actually happens in that room with that giant stack of papers? Well, we're going to find out, step by step. And to do that, we're drawing from this really helpful guide to the closing process. Our whole goal here is simple. Turn what seems like a complicated event into a really clear, easy-to-follow journey, so you know exactly what's coming. Let's start thinking about the closing, not as some big, scary hurdle, but more like the finish line. It's the official process that makes that house yours. And the best part, you're not running this last lap alone. The number one thing you gotta know is that your attorney is your expert guide through all of this. And, it's kind of like an iceberg. A huge amount of their most important work happens completely behind the scenes long before you ever walk into that closing room. So yeah, let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on with all that prep work. This is where your attorney really shows their value, tackling all the complicated legal and financial stuff so you don't have to. It really boils down to 3 huge tasks. First, they get all the legal paperwork ready. And this is critical. They do a title search to make sure no one else has some weird hidden claim to your new house. Then, they basically become the financial hub. They make sure the seller's old mortgage gets paid off and that everyone who needs to get paid gets paid. And finally, once all that is settled, they officially record the deed with the county. That is the moment it all becomes official. And that's exactly why that title search is so important. A clear title is basically your guarantee. It's your peace of mind that nobody's going to knock on your door a year from now claiming they have a right to your property. Your attorney makes sure you get undisputed ownership, which protects your entire investment. All right, so now let's jump forward to the main event, closing day itself. Because all that prep work has been done, the actual appointment where you sign everything is surprisingly quick and simple. And here's a number that might actually blow your mind. The signing part, it usually only takes about 30 to 60 minutes. That's it. It's not this all-day affair you might be picturing. All that work beforehand makes this final step super efficient. So what actually goes down during that hour? It's pretty straightforward. Your attorney is going to walk you through every single document so you know what you're putting your name on. Then you sign the paperwork. And then, the best part, possession of the home transfers to you. And yep, in most cases, you get the keys right then and there. And listen, this part is so crucial. You are not expected to be a legal expert, not at all. Your attorney's job at that table is to be your translator. They're your advocate, making sure you totally get what you're signing. They'll point out the really important parts of the mortgage, the note, and the deed. And that brings us to the best moment of this whole journey. The signing is done, the money has been moved around, you are officially a homeowner. This is what seals the deal. You might get the keys at the closing table, but the final, legally binding moment is when your attorney takes that signed deed and files it with the local government. Once that's recorded, that home is legally, officially 100% yours. So what's the best piece of advice for what to do next? It's simple. Celebrate. Seriously, buying a home is a huge deal, a massive accomplishment. You've got to take a moment and just enjoy it. Okay, but after the celebration, there is one tiny but very important piece of homework. Find a safe spot for your final closing disclosure document. It's the paper that sums up all the money stuff from the sale, and trust me, you will absolutely need it when tax time rolls around. And there you have it, the closing process totally demystified. It's a journey for sure, but one where you have an expert guide whose whole job is to protect you and make your ownership official. So that just leaves one last question. What's the very first thing you're going to do after you walk through that front door with your brand new set of keys?